Hi, welcome to Storms and Stories, a virtual book club that will be live here on Twitch. We will be live on YouTube. We're just kind of dumb and didn't realize we had to request access or whatever.
Yeah, it's a stream.
So we'll be live on YouTube next time, hopefully. And then we'll also be uploading as a podcast to, pretty much anywhere you can get podcasts. But yeah, so Jordan, do you want to talk a little bit about what Storms and Stories is?
Yeah, so basically, Storms and Stories is the brainchild of myself and my friend here. We said, why don't we do a podcast? We don't typically do anything with our time, nerd stuff. And
You say that as I'm running 3 different Dungeons and Dragons games. It takes up a lot of time.
Yeah. And, just something else to do for fun, mostly. And we like to read, so we're here to read some stories and then have book club talks afterwards. I think the initial theme...
Hold on, before we get to the initial theme, just a couple quick disclaimers. You will see us hitting vapes because we're old and can't quite fully kick addictions yet. There will also be beverages and swearing.
Yeah. So the first kind of theme of the next couple of books, I think we're looking at gothic horror as the initial intent.
I wouldn't say gothic horror in its entirety. We're starting out there with this, then the next one. But if we stick with the horror theme, we might shift from gothic into a little bit more body horror with maybe Frankenstein, which is more like sci-fi body horror. But yeah, for whatever reason we have decided to go with horror out the gate, which is great for me. I love horror. It's my favorite genre.
And the other thing we're going to look at is, tie into, our first episode of each story of each book is going to be introducing the book, introducing, the themes, talking about the author, the era in which it was released, those kinds of things. Really get into the literary aspect of the books as opposed to just reading the book and talking about what each character did each week.
Yeah.
So without further ado, the first book, predating Dracula by approximately 20 years, is Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu.
J. Sheridan Le Fanu.
Yeah, forgive my French. I'm not good at it.
This is something neither of us have read before. It's something I've wanted to read for a very long time. Dracula just so happens to be one of my favorite novels. In fact, my black cat is named after Quincy Morris from said novel. And, we talked a lot about what we wanted to read first. We actually have a full list. We have a Goodreads, actually, of all the things that we're going to read on this podcast.
Yeah, we'll share the Goodreads link out, or at least the name, as soon as I remember what it is.
That's a fucking good idea. It's Storms and Stories on Goodreads. I would tell you to look for our logo, but our logo accidentally didn't get uploaded this week, so that'll be there next week. But, yeah. So, and we had a lot of talks, and we threw a couple options out to our wives, and I don't think either of them have read this either.
No?
I know my wife hasn't read Dracula, which that was one of her... She's like, oh, that'd be nice, but no, let's go with that one, because it came first.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, we know in the... the book community, we've learned that Carmilla is pretty well known as being the oldest vampire book in popular reads. We learned that since deciding to read the book. Not that we.
Well, you learned that. I knew that.
You knew that it was a popular book in reading? Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I just hadn't read it yet.
Yeah.
It's just always been on my list. But that's the problem when you have 5 bookshelves full of books that you haven't read yet, because I'm actually going to a book event tomorrow.
Oh yeah, are you going out there?
Yes, Brittany and I are gonna go out there. We're gonna hit the dispensary, have like a 10 milligram, you know, get a nice little buzz, and then because it's supposed to be like a downtown like walk book event. So, hey, we'll see how many books I come home with.
Yeah, speaking of books, I think just not even barely a month ago we were at an event. It's a adult book fair, which I'm really excited. Grown-up book fair.
Yes.
They weren't adult books.
There were adult books there. Yes,
yeah.
there were adult books there, but it was it was a book fair. It was hosted at a brewery. I think the main, because there was multiple companies there this time, but the main company is Sips and Sequels.
Sips and Sequels,
which is local to you.
Yeah, local to me.
And it's the second time you've invited me to their adult book fairs, and they're just awesome.
It's just a great time. I mean, you get to see a bunch of books, some used books, some new books, right? Or as we like to call them, pre-loved.
Pre-loved? I like that, yeah. Pre-loved books.
Yeah.
Hopefully they were loved.
Well, if they weren't, they wouldn't be in the condition that we bought them in.
I mean, I've got some books that I love dearly, but I've read them so many times that, you know, the spine just is almost non-existent. That's still pre-loved. I love the book. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm being pedantic.
Yeah, so talk to me, I guess, before we decided to do this, Camilla was already on your, like, to-read list, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So talk to me about, like, learning about the story, you know, what you knew prior to coming into this.
Well, obviously, you know, I knew that Carmilla is the story. It's a vampire story that is like about 20 years older than Dracula, the novel Dracula. I knew that. I did know that it was a sapphic romance. I think you didn't know that until you actually had the book in hand.
True, that's true.
I purposely neglected to tell you that.
Well, I read some romance here and there too.
Well, I was hoping you were just going to be lazy and not read the back of the book, and then it would come as a surprise, but I should have known better. No, and then other than that, not a whole lot. The rest I know of Carmilla is just like Carmilla from other popular like nerd culture things, like, you know, Castlevania. I knew, you know, Carmilla from Castlevania, stuff like that.
Yeah, interestingly, I think that it's all derivative, right? Now knowing that this book exists and it's kind of history, there's a children's show that my daughter likes to read, watch, not read.
Your daughter does like to read, though.
She does like to read. She reads a lot.
That's true.
But she likes to watch. I think it's called, I'm going to get this wrong, but it's Vamplings, I think.
You know I don't have kids, so.
Yeah, I think it's called Vamplings, but the main character there is also named Carmilla. I mean, they're
yes,
young,
but that's the inspiration would have been Carmilla or, you know, any other iteration of Carmilla.
Right.
You know, like, obviously a kid's show is not going to take a terrifying vampire woman and, you know, make her like the main character of a young small children's show.
Yeah, I think it's like a Disney original not animated show, but like live action show, and it kind of
it's live action?
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking it was animated.
The interesting themes, I think, are reminiscent of like the old Disney original, like Phantom of the Megaplex.
Okay.
Like that style where it's lighthearted, you know, you got some interesting like comedy, but also there are enough horror elements and suspense elements to keep you engaged.
Well, yeah, because, you know, there's going to be some kind of moral lessons in there, and it's easier if you have a nice environment to have those moral lessons in.
Yeah, actually, before we get more on the book, sorry, we talk.
I'm actually going to interrupt him already. We've been best friends for this year is 20 years. We've been best friends. So that is going to be a thing. We're going to eventually get better about keeping ourselves on track, but just be fair warned that we will get off track a little bit here and there just because we talk a lot.
But good news is that even when we get off track, it's usually going to be tangentially related.
Yes, it's on topic. It's just not
the
topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what's with, like, remember when, monsters had their own, like, place in media, and not every monster was all of the monsters put together?
Yeah. Yes. It's been a weird trend. I've actually noticed this in pop culture. We are slowly moving back to that, like, this is werewolves, this is vampires, this is, like, possessions or hauntings. We're slowly moving back to their monsters in media and pop culture having their distinct, I don't want to say genre, but you could almost say that, because, like, vampire media is by and large more based on gothic horror, even if it's set in a modern age. Whereas, like, your werewolf films or novels are more like psychological thrillers.
Yeah.
They all have their place. So.
Yeah, no, and I just think back to, like, was it, it predated Twilight, right? When there was the Vampire Diaries was a big one that kind of started putting everything together.
Yeah, everything, like, a great, actually, even before Vampire Diaries.
Buffy, or not Buffy, but Angel.
Yeah, Angel, but I mean, after that, you had, like, Underworld.
Yeah.
The big, like, vampire werewolf war.
Yeah.
And somehow, that's become, like,
Media.
the norm.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it serves its place.
I at times find it boring because you can do so much more with having less.
Well, I think, I said Vampire Diaries, and I really was talking about Twilight.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Well, Underworld 100% predates Twilight, I'm almost certain.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Twilight. Well, hey, guys, you're never going to get Twilight on this channel and the podcast. I read them all a long time ago. Never again.
They are not the best YA books out there, by any means.
No, they are not. No, they are not.
So I guess kind of getting tangentially related to this topic.
Why do you keep using that word tangentially?
Tangentially. It's a really good word. It's like related, but not quite.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say simpler words.
Okay. I could say back to a related topic, and not the topic we were just talking about, but the one we're here for.
Carmilla.
Yeah, what do I know? I came into this knowing that it was a vampire book that predated Dracula by 20 years. On accident, I learned this. I was, like, looking for books to read specifically for this podcast, and we like to sometimes utilize our resources of the internet, or even better, ChatGPT.
Yeah, you like ChatGPT quite a bit.
I enjoy a good ChatGPT, but not to, like, create content, but it's a better search engine than Google, right?
Yes, because it can throw in a bunch of the sources from one Google search into, like, one quick bullet point for you. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with using ChatGPT for things like that. It's a tool. It helps brainstorm, not create.
Yeah. And so I found the book, and I spent some time not researching the book itself, but I wanted to focus on kind of, that Gothic theme, the era in which it was written, which we're talking 1870.
First published in 1872.
Yeah.
And the predate of Dracula is 26 years, so almost 30. We were wrong.
Yeah. 1872. In France, right? This is, at least I'm pretty sure. I can check my resources.
I got it.
I don't want to get that. It doesn't say where it was. Well,
Of course not.
maybe it'll tell you in the copyright.
I mean, Le Fanu sounds very, very French. Well, while we're trying to figure this out, I actually have the better copy. His looks cooler with the red and the red paging, but mine is an illustrated copy. So
Let's just see where this was published at.
yeah. So Sorry, he has something pulled up on his computer, so I can't actually see anything going on our end. There we go. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's French. While he's doing that, something I want to touch on real quick is the actually, I'm just going to use the wording from the back of the book. The themes of vampirism and homosexuality shocked the standards and stereotypes for women set in the Victorian era. That's something I am extremely excited for in reading this book, is thinking about like 1872, you know, the Victorian era, and then a book about a sapphic romance is published. I can't even imagine how wild that was for the time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, well, at least in the open, right? Because we know in, you know, the Victorian age and even like historic.
Yeah. No, I mean like in the open.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, historically, yes. Like anything like with the LGBTQ plus community has been around since man has been around. Like, that's just a fact.
Okay.
But yeah, like to openly publish a book, a sapphic romance, that's also like a gothic horror, I'm thinking, because we haven't read it yet. Absolutely wild. Just mind-bogglingly insane. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think that it's an interesting, you know, like, is Carmilla where the I guess popular culture visual of vampires as like
like the sexy vampire,
or not even just sexy vampires, but
I know what you mean. Like we're not talking about like Count Orlok from Nosferatu here,
right? But even beyond that, though, the lust of vampires, right? How like feeding is a carn,
like a carnal desire.
Yeah.
So I personally think that like vampirism kind of is a metaphor for like dark carnal desires. And you know, at the time when like older novels are being written, you know, homosexuality would have been a dark carnal desire. You know, so it could partly be, you know, vampires are a metaphor for that.
Yeah.
Like, I even look at werewolves, like that's a metaphor for horrifying change. They might not actually be horrifying.
Yeah, but also like they always like typical like werewolf stories focused on the wild nature of human emotion, right?
Yeah. No, and that's why I love horror so much. Like, just all the themes mean something. Well, they used to. They're coming back to that, but because again, Twilight. There's that period where.
Well, Twilight wasn't really horror though.
No, I'm just talking about the monsters.
Yeah, monsters. Yeah.
Monsters in general, or monsters to be monsters.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but we can't just have that. You have to have both.
Right. Interestingly, I found out that Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu.
Oh, Joseph? Did you just find out it was Joseph?
Yeah.
Just now?
Yeah. Actually, I knew that before and forgot. Now I remember.
I didn't know
that. Wrote Carmilla as a serialized serial short stories as a not to Into the Dark Blue, which is a London magazine.
So this was coming out like weekly
or by like
manga,
yeah.
like shonen manga, for like
Yeah.
Shonen Jump,
Yeah.
like weekly chapters.
Yeah, well, that was pretty common actually back in the day for young authors, or even like you know, starting out, or well, even established authors. But like for instance, Edgar Allan Poe wrote a lot of serialized stuff early.
And it makes sense for like the horror scene too, because like think about like Penny Dreadfuls.
Yeah.
Like, you know, now if you say Penny Dreadful, people think of the show.
The show.
Great, excellent first season. Second season. Third season's like 50-50 good and bad.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's named after these little Penny Dreadful like
little pocket
leaflets that were just like little monster stories and shit.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking cool to me.
So this week we're just talking to you all about what we know about Carmilla. In our next release, we'll have read some portion of this book. We haven't really established what that is yet, but
yeah. So the schedule going forward, depending on the book, will either be like a chapter, because like, you know, when we go to read Dracula, that's probably gonna be a chapter a week. I love the novel. not the easiest read in the world.
Yeah, but if we get to anything more modern, there's very like a new trend is like long books, short chapters because it makes you feel good.
And that's why because we figured like Carmilla, it's really small.
Maybe just a 3-episode thing.
Yeah, it might be a quick one. But yeah, some more modern books, like I don't really want to say like modern, but like when we sit down and read Jurassic Park, also a favorite novel of mine. I'll probably throw out, hey, let's do 2 chapters a week. Mm-hmm. I want to read this. I don't want to have to stop reading.
Yeah, I think we'll really need to see what the pacing looks like though, because we don't want to spend months going through.
Yeah.
So.
And I've still got to finish setting up like our little talk lists and stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll get better as we go. We got some work to do, some progress to make.
But we never intend to be overproduced. Like maybe there's talking points we should cover. I don't think we're really getting into the history of. I mean, Victorian England is a whole period. But
listen, I'm not going to sit here and talk about Victorian England. We are on a book club podcast and a book club stream. That would have to be its whole other thing. Like, we could do a whole just show with like multiple hour episodes.
Yeah.
Just covering some of the Victorian era.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. It's huge.
I have to correct myself.
Oh.
Reading this now, it was Carmilla was published in a collection of tales. It was serialized in that dark blue magazine. It was a London-based literary magazine that was only published from 1871 to 1873, apparently. So short-lived, really.
Oh. And the novel was published in 72, so, like, I mean...
Squeaked by.
Yeah.
He also wrote so the collection of tales was called Glass Darkly. Or, sorry, In a Glass Darkly.
In a Glass Darkly, okay.
Yeah, and included some others: Green Tea, The Familiar, Mr. Justice, Harbottle, and The Room in the Dragon Volant. That's going to be interesting because there's some themes there that are reminiscent of other monsters.
Yeah, no, I think we need to get us a copy of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to check out more of Le Fanu's work. Yeah. Hopefully we enjoy Carmilla. And at the end of every book, each of us will give our personal ratings and take like the median, and that'll be our Goodreads rating, correct? Is that how we decided to do it? And our ratings are not stars, they're storm clouds. Because we picked a theme and we're sticking with it.
Yep.
So storms and stories it is, so we'll rate things 1 out of 5 storm clouds on coolness. I mean, hell, just the covers of each of our books, I will give these both a 5 out of 5 storm clouds.
Yeah,
they're really cool. Like, I like them quite a bit.
Mine's a little bit thicker.
I think my words are smaller.
Yeah. But then I also have gilded pages.
You do have gilded pages.
Not gilded, but painted.
Yeah, painted. Yeah. But again, I have illustrations. So I'll take the illustrations.
True. Let's just look at the back here. Mine says some things about the main characters. Castle deep in the forest. Laura, the main character, leads a solitary life with only her ailing father for company. And then an unexpected guest known as the beautiful Carmilla arrives at the castle in a carriage.
That's not bad. I like that. I like this more. I'm gonna read it because it's not even very long. It's 3 like full-length sentences and 2 really short ones. So call it 5 sentences. Fear sweeps the countryside as people fall victim to a strange illness. After a peculiar accident, beautiful Marcilla becomes a ward at Laura's family home. Soon, friendship looms between the mysterious Mircalla and curious Laura. Love is in the air, but so is something deadly. Will Mircalla's secret cost Laura her life? This edition really leaned into the mystery of it all.
Yeah, drawing you in.
Like, And if, of course, it's completely ruined by the big blurb, like sapphic vampire romance book. Like, if they had left that off and you only picked up this book just based off of those couple sentences, like okay, that seems interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's, some danger, some mystery, strange illness. It immediately, if you're a horror fan like I am, it immediately makes you think something horror.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like that. I'm excited to read it. I think between now and next week, we can go to the table of contents here. We can probably bust out the prologue and chapters 1 and 2. Maybe even 3. Let's start with prologue, chapters 1 and 2.
Yeah, total book length, it looks like...
Because that'll give us 19 pages of reading. That's not a lot.
Yeah, the conclusion in mine ends at 156.
Mine is at 106.
Okay.
How many chapters do you have? Does yours have a chapter thing in the front?
Well, I don't have a table of contents.
Oh, that's no good. I do.
Unfortunate, but...
How many? What chapter number is your chapters numbered? Are your chapters numbered?
Yeah, so I got the prologue, and then
What's the very last chapter? The conclusion.
Conclusion reads as Roman numeral 26.
26?
Yeah.
This is gonna be really interesting. Mine says 16.
How do you have different... Is he?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm dumb. It is 16. I told you, Roman numerals.
The Roman numerals. We're not Rome.
Call IXII, as they say.
We're in an undisclosed bunker of books and nerd shit.
Nerd shit.
Lots of nerd shit. And I also think going forward, we'll start asking for recommendations and votes. Like, hey, what should we read? Like, what do you guys like?
Yeah, I think we'll want to do, as we entertain in social media, put together polls and things like that. Maybe it starts with, we'll start, what could be fun is we'll start with, Carmilla, Dracula, see where we're at. If we got enough folks, we can have them recommend some things, and then we'll put a poll, and then every couple of books we'll do a reader submission.
Yeah. I'm also, when I continue to work on the question, the questionnaire for episodes and stuff, something I think will be really cool going in the future once we have listeners and followers and stuff. You'll know the next book we're gonna read. Read with us.
Yeah.
Because we'll just tell you, hey, this is what we're reading. This is what we're reading this week. This amount of books we're reading next week. And I'll make sure that those questionnaires are available. And, hey, hit us in the chat. This is what you thought.
Yeah.
Here to interact. It's a book club.
That's the intent.
We're starting
it's a book
it.
Club.
But, hey, if we get a whole digital book club going, I'm here for it.
Yeah. You can never go wrong with plentiful of opinions, right?
Correct. And more reading gives me more breaks from D&D planning, which
D&D
takes up
planning.
a lot of time.
Don't lie, you're playing Cyberpunk again.
That is not the last game I played. Boom. You are wrong.
Oh.
I did play that again very recently, though, so I can't really talk. And I'm about to join a Cyberpunk tabletop game.
Are you?
Yes, I'm not running that.
Do you have time for that?
We don't have a schedule yet. My buddy just got to Korea, so I'm going to try my best to at least make it every other week and not every week.
What is Korea's time from now?
That's a great question. It's quite a bit.
Speaking of Korea, how's about my friend Sung Drip Woo?
Look, I don't want to talk about it. I'm impatiently awaiting the
next episode?
The dub episodes.
Oh, two episodes.
The two episodes to be dubbed. Because my favorite character is coming, right now.
I bet it's 3. I bet that's the season finale.
It's 100%. That's going to be season. such an awesome character. Like, they're gonna end with that character becoming who he is throughout the rest of the story. Like, there's no reason not to. That's where I would end the season, personally.
See, I read the manhwa originally for this one. Solo Leveling, for those that aren't in the know.
Yeah, you guys are gonna get little sprinkles of other nerd content in here.
2 years ago I started reading, or maybe it was just only a year. Well, no, I would say a year and a half ago I read it the first time, the whole manhwa.
Did I finish it before I started the Appalachian Trail last year?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And then I was really engrossed in the story, but you know, you lose something sometimes in the manhwa because you're scrolling quickly to get through, like, you get engrossed in the story, you're scrolling kind of quick.
Yep.
So I picked up I started reading the light novel, and you get a lot more of the, you know, the inner workings of the world through the light novel.
Well, the show is doing a good job splitting off from the manhwa and doing more character development for anybody that's not Jinnu.
Yeah.
Like, anybody that's not Jinnu is now getting character development, which is good because they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Do you think then, like, what are some, I guess, popular or well-known, like, necromancy books?
So, actually, I don't know if this is popular or well-known, but Jed lent me a trilogy. I haven't finished the first book yet. Mm-hmm. What I've read is really good. And it's an interesting take on necromancy.
Okay. It's more interesting than Frankenstein?
Yes, because, you know, that's science fiction.
Yeah.
You know, because Mary Shelley created the science fiction genre with Frankenstein. And if anybody disagrees with me, well, we can meet in a Waffle House and talk about it.
I think Dr. Frankenstein was the first science necromancer.
Yes. So this trilogy, the Abhorsen, it's the Abhorsen trilogy. And book one is titled Sabriel, and that's the name of the main character of the series. And you know, there's like old deep magic in I think it's called the Old World, which is like the Old World and the New World are separated by a literal wall that has guards and stuff. There's still like magic and stuff on the, let's call it the modern side, like where we would live.
Yeah.
And it's more modern than the Old World. So, you know, like she is a student at a magical school where, you know, her father dropped her off, but she's from the Old World originally. I can't say too much. It's actually something I do want to put on our list because I would love to like read through it all and talk about it with you. So good, and you like cool necromancy stuff, I think it's right up your alley.
Yeah.
Just the whole way they handle necromancy is, honestly, I love it.
Yeah. I'm still in my it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle phase.
You mean listening to emo music?
And being emo, that's why I enjoy necromancy so much.
I mean, I still listen to a lot of emo music. Like, a lot of the music I listen to right now was the same music I listened to in high school, which I graduated from in 2006. So,
Yeah.
Then I sprinkle in some, you know, Chappell Roan and Sabrina Carpenter. And have a good day.
Sometimes you gotta listen to Taylor Swift or whatever you were talking about.
You know, there's nothing wrong with expanding your music taste because I also enjoy Taylor Swift.
You know, here's the thing is about Taylor Swift, I think it's all the same. It feels all the same to me.
It's a fair, you know, you're allowed to have opinions.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, it feels all the same. Oh, and like it has for a long time. My daughter is obsessed with Taylor Swift. And so I heard the entire Eras tour. I didn't know when it was shifting from one era to the other, except for the very beginning when she was like only a country artist.
Yeah.
And honestly, here's the thing, how much I know about Taylor Swift, I don't know if that's part of the Eras tour or not.
I have no idea. I'm not a Swiftie. I enjoy Taylor Swift. I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie though. And I think I enjoy her more as like a pop star than a country artist.
Yeah.
I think we are also getting way the fuck off. There's not really much more we can say about Carmilla at this point because we haven't read anything as of yet.
It's true.
This might be a shorter episode. It's our first one, just introducing ourselves and introducing our first book. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and here's the thing I'm thinking is we'll figure out our pacing.
Do you need an ice pack?
4?
You're thinking, so I'm assuming a headache is coming.
Everyone knows I'm smarter than you.
If by everyone you mean what you think, then yes.
Let's ask your wife. She's in the other room.
That is true. My wife is in the other room. Hopefully she'll come to my defense, but since it's you, probably not. We've known each other too long. Look, just because you're better at computers, and when I say better, I mean I can turn it off and on. I can browse the internet. I just learned a new shortcut.
Did you?
Yeah. Like a formatting shortcut.
Oh, yeah?
Control, is that forward space where it slashes this way?
Okay, well, that's a back. Yeah, that's a forward slash,
yeah. Yeah, control forward slash.
What's that do?
So, like, if you were to copy and paste something from one document to another and the formatting was completely different, and you highlight it and click that, it changes it to the formatting of the document you're on.
Hey, you want me to save you a step?
No.
If you highlight it and copy something and then go to put it on another document, and instead of pasting, you hit Control-Shift-V. So instead of Control-V, Control-Shift-V, you're pasting to the formatting of the new document.
See, now, you know what you just did to yourself, right?
Yeah.
I will 100% forget that and text you many times over the next coming weeks. Hey, what was that thing again?
It's Control-Shift-V. Just remember.
Bro, brain damage. Literal brain damage.
You remember Control-/, and
yeah, and I looked at it like
that.
6 times that day.
So yeah, Control-Shift-V. And keyboard shortcuts doesn't make me good at computers.
I wasn't just talking about keyboard shortcuts. I was excited that I learned something about a computer.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you. See, was that so hard? Was that really so hard?
Honestly, it hurt in my soul.
Do you need a Band-Aid?
Deep and black.
I got Band-Aids right there.
Frozen soul.
You don't have a deep black frozen soul.
It's because I don't have one at all.
That's not true.
Oh wait, that's you.
Ginger jokes. Listen here, midget. No, I can't say midget. That's not an insult. Listen here. Look, I can look over your head, okay?
Barely.
You're short. Okay, you're short.
Yeah, fair.
You're short.
Right now, I'm taller than you due to forced perspective.
It's true. No, it's because I have a short torso. Like, I think if my wife and I were to sit down next to each other in this same format, we would look about the same height.
Yeah.
Because our chairs are even set at the same height right now. I just have a short torso. I'm all leg, man. I'm pretty much Gojo, just leg.
Yeah, except you're not nearly as cool as Gojo.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
Neither are you, though.
I never said I was.
You know, it was Yuji's birthday, like 2 days ago.
Was it?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Wait, what's today's date? 2 days ago.
Well,
It's the 22nd.
Because of midnight, so technically yes.
Oh, it just hit midnight. Yeah. So yeah, the 20th is Yuji Itadori's birthday.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I think what we're gonna do now is just kind of set expectations, which is what I was trying to do before we got sidetracked the last time.
That was your fault, not mine.
We will find our pacing. The plan is to have episodes be about an hour long, but if it's somewhere around 40 minutes, I don't think there's a problem with that.
No, and I do think that, like, we just saw it here where there was that break where it's like, and then I popped in with something. I think in an episode, if we ever get to that point, we'll just go ahead and start ramping it down and ending it, even if it doesn't hit like the 40 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you just don't have a lot to say.
Yeah, and when we get our audience, we'll have somebody to interact with and keep us busy in those times where we're sidetracked.
Yeah, and I'm sure, once we get an audience and people are chatting with us as we're going, we'll probably push past that hour. Yeah. Which, if that's the case, since we are also going to be putting these on as a podcast, and we're not doing any editing, because we are giving it to you straight how it is right now, and because we're both A, lazy, and B, just don't have the time.
Truly. We have set ourselves with too many
things.
Too many side tasks.
Yeah, we tried to do a D&D podcast, which, was actually getting some listenership, but our editor couldn't edit anymore. I didn't have the time.
Or the capacity,
We'll get there in a second. He didn't have the time. And yes, the capacity, because, again, Jeffrey... computers, but like software, like extra software. I was beating my head against a wall. It wasn't the recording, it wasn't any of that. It was the editing and getting the editing the right way. I just couldn't do it. It was driving me crazy. I mean, it pisses me off. I fucking wish I could do it.
It is what it is. We all can do things. I can do more things than you can do.
I can do more things than you can do.
Yeah, I can't cook.
That's true.
There you go. That's your thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that.
I can grill, and that's not cooking. We all know that.
I just said that to you the other day, and you were like, bitch, that is cooking.
No, I said that when we were at D&D night, and...
Oh, no, I said it was cooking, because it is cooking.
No, Jeb was like, looking at me like I was crazy. It's not cooking. Grilling is not cooking.
Grilling is cooking.
No, cooking is a science. Grilling is an art form.
No, baking is science. Because with a recipe, if I were to give you a recipe, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to follow it exactly.
Okay, well, hopefully not, because I don't know what the hell a pinch of salt is.
You open your salt cellar, which I just now realized you don't know what a salt cellar is.
Did you say cellar?
Yes.
Why would I have a... Do you have a small person selling you things in your house?
Show you what a salt cellar is. Plus, mine is absolutely adorable. I had a traditional wooden one, and then this one was found. It is literally a container that sits on your counter, right? This one has a spoon. I don't use the spoon unless I'm like putting salt in for the boiling water. Take the lid off. Now you set a pinch of salt.
I'm not convinced that was a pinch. That looked like a, I don't know, fingerful.
Was that a fingerful of your arm?
Yeah.
That is a pinch. You fucking Goomba.
I'm just saying, like, I think a pinch, I go 2-finger claw.
That's what a pinch of salt is. But no, the point I was making is that if you deviate, like, pretty much any recipe that has garlic is going to say anywhere from 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. Fuck that. You put as much garlic as you want. More garlic never hurt, especially when we're dealing with fucking vampires.
I think Carmilla may have something to say about that.
Well, that's kind of scary. From the Carmilla I know right now. Well, it might change after reading this, but Carmilla from like Castlevania, terrifying. But in baking, if you deviate from that recipe, you have ruined it. Cooking is art, not science. Said what I said.
And then grilling is fan art.
No, because there's still temperatures in the meat is still cooking. Do you get the steak medium rare the correct way every time?
Yeah, 100%.
Then you can cook a steak.
Yep.
On the grill, which is cooking.
I can grill the steak through artisanship.
See, you're just making shit up now because you know what the fuck you're talking about.
So anyways, thanks for, coming out and watching. This will be around. I guess we'll upload it to YouTube also, since we didn't get to go live on YouTube tonight.
Yes, we got to get it uploaded to YouTube because we're dumb.
Yeah.
And didn't look into things.
And here's the thing is I've done this before.
Oh yeah, when you're doing the Call of Duty stuff and you posted
like 4
videos.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it took some time.
No, it was 3 because one of them was only a short. It was like 30 seconds long.
No, I think it was 4. It was 4 live streams and 1 short, I think is what it was. Anyways, not important.
Not important.
Thanks for coming out and listening to us talk about things we don't understand and try to figure our way out through this night. And we'll see you the next time on not Dragon Ball Z, but Storms and Stories.
Next time on Storms and Stories. See, it still works. Have a good night, y'all.